Good morning, everyone. And we are starting a new chapter from Merging with Śiva, chapter 52, titled The Final Conclusions for All Mankind. Even though it's the final chapter, it was written in 1978. Just ended up in last place. Lesson 358, The Wisdom of the Ages. Religion, as it is known today, is an offshoot of various ethnic groups that gathered together in the twilight of human history and forged systems of law, worship, culture, and belief. The unique circumstances of geography, language, communications, and race isolated one group from another, and differences were born and preserved, differences of belief and custom. As these small communities varied, so did the systems which satisfied each one. From their inception, they absorbed the singular thought patterns postulated by their culture and their leaders. And these distinctions were perpetuated from father to son, from guru to disciple, from one generation to the next. The leader was the shaman, the priest, the āchārya, the philosopher-king. He was well versed in religious matters among them, and naturally became the authority, the tribal priest. Religion in the early days was tribal, for man's early experience was tribal. Being tribal, religion was political. The political character has been preserved, as we find it today, in the world's many religions, which are, for the most part, the common beliefs of the various races and or nations on the earth. 10,000 years ago in the Himalayas and across to the Indus Valley, ancient rishis and sages studied and meditated upon the eternal truths passed down to them, and in conclaves jointly concurred as to the results of their personal findings on the inward path. Following an already ancient tradition, they were sent on missions to Kashmir, China, Greece, Egypt, Arabia, Mesopotamia, South India, Southeast Asia, and to every traversable part of the world with the same message, digested and concise, given out with the power and force of their personal realizations of the final conclusions. Today I'm going to speak about Hinduism and the conclusions drawn by its early sages and saints as to the orderly evolution of man's soul and the ultimate spiritual goal of that evolution, the culmination of the countless accumulated passages of the soul on its journey to truth. The ancient ones, the rishis and sages who formulated these final conclusions, recorded them as scriptures which still exist today. They were not interested in preserving a sectarian view of religion. Rather, they laid down their conclusions for all mankind. They had realized God within themselves, and from that inner realization they spoke out with boundless humility and undeniable authority. I like that. Boundless humility and undeniable authority. Beautiful phrase. These teachings were recorded in the early Vedas. They blossomed in the Upanishads. They were detailed in the Agamas. They came to be known as the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal path. According to ancient Hinduism, all is Shiva, all is God. God is both eminent and transcendent, both saguna and nirguna, with and without form. There is but one God. He manifests variously as the formless and absolute reality, as the rarefied form of pure consciousness, Satchit Ananda, pure energy or light, flowing through all existence, and as the personal Lord and Creator, the primal soul. As the eminent Lord, Shiva created the soul and the world of form and experience, that it might evolve toward and merge with the Absolute. The Svetasvatara Upanishad speaks of God as both eminent and transcendent, and I would like to quote for you from it. He is the one God, present in the north, the east, the south, and the west. He is the Creator. He enters into all wombs. He alone is now born as all beings, and He alone is to be born as all beings in the future. He is within all persons as the inner self, facing in all directions. The one absolute impersonal existence, together with His inscrutable Maya, appears as the divine Lord, the personal God, endowed with manifold glories. By His divine power, He holds dominion over all the worlds. At the periods of creation and dissolution of the universe, He alone exists. Those who realize Him become immortal. The Lord is one without a second. Within man He dwells, and within all other beings. He projects the universe, maintains it, and withdraws it into Himself. End of quote. Elsewhere, the Svetasvatara Upanishad speaks of God as the primal soul. I have come to know that mighty person, golden like the sun, beyond all darkness. By knowing Him, a man transcends death. There is no other path for reaching that goal. Higher than Him is nothing whatever. Than Him nothing smaller. Than Him nothing greater. He stands like a tree rooted in heaven, the one, the person filling this whole world. And the Mundaka Upanishad speaks of God as the unmanifest Nirguna Brahman. Self-resplendent, formless, unoriginated and pure, that all-pervading being is both within and without. Anterior both to life and mind, He transcends even the transcendent, unmanifest causal state of the universe. Lesson 359, Impetuous, Impatient. The final goal of human life is realization and liberation. Realization of the absolute unmanifest Parashiva, Nirguna Brahman, and liberation from birth. This realization cannot be brought about solely by an effort of the mind, by any discipline or method. Sadhana and tapas and bhakti are necessary for purifying the mind and body in preparation for God realization, but it is by the grace of the Satguru that it is attained. The North American Hindu, and in these words we include the Indian Hindu who lives in America, whether in the first generation, the second, the third, or the fourth, often wants to begin at the end of the path rather than at the beginning. There is a distinct lack of patience on this side of the planet. Our desire, our lack of knowledge, which breeds undue desire, impels us beyond our abilities and before our time. We want everything right now. We are impatient and perhaps unwilling to wait for the natural fulfillment of desire, for the natural unfoldment of the soul. We seek to force it, to strive for greater attainments than we are prepared to sustain. We want illumination and we want it now, but results cannot be attained unless we have the patience to begin at the beginning and to follow through systematically. You must take one step and then another. There are no shortcuts to enlightenment, but there are detours. Impatience with the natural process is one of them. If you find a green melon in an open field, will it help to expose it to more sun, to more heat? Will it ripen faster and taste sweeter? No, it will not. It ripens from the inside out. The process cannot be forced. The melon will grow ripe without intervention. Similarly, the soul will mature in its time. I am not saying that you should not strive, should not make even greater inner efforts. I am saying that impatient striving, the kind of striving that puts aside all common sense and says, I am going to get realization no matter what, is itself an obstacle to that realization, which is not something to get. Hindus in the West have much to learn from Hindus in the East when it comes to contentment with their karma and dharma. We must work to perfect an inner serenity that can accept spending a lifetime or several lifetimes in search of truth. That can accept that some of us are by our nature and unfoldment better suited to service and devotion, and others to yoga and the various sadhanas. This is a far more enlightened perspective than the Western notion, which subtly maintains that there is but a single life, in which all the final goals must be reached. The eternal path to Sanatana Dharma has been well charted by the great illumined minds, developed minds, spiritually unfolded minds, realized minds on this planet. No one can skip, avoid, evade, or abstain from any part of that path. As Euclid could find for the impatient crowned pupil no special royal road to geometry or philosophy, so there is no privileged royal road to spiritual illumination. Similarly, a marathon runner cannot begin the race 20 miles from the starting point, or a mountain climber cannot refuse to climb the lower, perhaps less challenging cliffs. The natural laws known to all men do not allow it. The natural law known to himself, his own conscience, does not allow it. It is the same on the spiritual path. The eternal spiritual path, the way of God, is broad. It accepts all and rejects none. No matter where a seeker is in his inner development, the eternal path embraces and encourages him. If he is a simple man, the path for him is simple, unsophisticated, answering the needs of his everyday life, yet opening him to more and more subtle ways of worship and living. If he is an advanced soul, a mature soul, he will find within Hinduism the Sanmarga, the pure path to the Absolute. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.